There are studies on the frequency with which individuals engage in sexual acts, broken down by introvert and extrovert types. How many times per month do introverted men engage in the act? 3.0. Extroverted men? A significantly higher 5.5, almost twice as much. As for the ladies, introverted women clock in at 3.1. But the real heroines? Extroverted women at a staggering 7.5 times per month. They not only handle all the male extroverts, but seem to pick up a few introverts along the way, too. Extroversion is one of the big 5 personality traits, and it's a characteristic conducive to working well with people. Extroverts are driven by stimulation. The louder the sounds, the more boisterous the party, the better. You'll often find them forming the magnetic core of social events, drawing energy from the buzz of excitement around them. Caffeine, for example, works much better as an internal stimulant for extroverts than introverts. When extroverts come into the office at 9 a.m. saying, "I really need a cup of coffee," they're not kidding. They really do thrive off that caffeine kick. Extroverts prefer black and white, concrete, simple language. When they interact, they want lots of social encounters punctuated by closeness. They'd like to stand close for comfortable communication and maintain a lot of eye contact or mutual gaze. Interestingly, research has shown that when extroverts meet someone new like Charles, it rapidly becomes diminutive terms like Charlie, Chuck, and even Chuckles baby and Nay. On the other hand, introverts tend to seek quieter spaces, preferring to reduce external stimulation. They lean towards contextually complex contingent language with qualifiers like more or less, as it were, and not to put too fine a point upon it. Don't mistake their need for solitude as being antisocial, though. They simply thrive when they can lower the level of stimulation and recharge their internal batteries. But the differences between introverts and extroverts go beyond just their social preferences and communication styles. Brain scans have revealed fascinating insights into the biological basis of these traits. Introverts tend to have a thicker prefrontal cortex, associated with deeper thought and planning, suggesting they may be more inclined to mull things over instead of directly springing into action. However, this tendency to ruminate also makes introverts more susceptible to developing anxiety and depression. On the flip side, extroverts have a more strongly activated dopamine reward system, which responds positively to social interactions, rewards, and even things like winning a computerized gambling task. A fascinating study involving 130 participants discovered that those who were more adventurous had 2 copies of one particular allele, reinforcing the idea that these personality traits are partially linked to our genetics. And let's not forget about that intrinsically human need for connection and intimacy. Brain scans show that the brains of extroverts respond more strongly when shown photos of human faces compared to neutral nature photos. But for introverts, the brain response is similar for both, highlighting their ability to feel contentment in solitude. These differences in personality traits can also manifest in fascinating ways in the workplace environment. While an extrovert tends to speak up freely in meetings, an introvert may only share ideas when prompted. Extroverts are quite comfortable in open office layouts with high energy, whereas introverts much prefer a quiet, distraction-free work setup. There are also contrasts in how praise and feedback are received. Extroverts bask in the glory of praise and attention, while too much overt recognition can actually make an introvert feel uncomfortable and self-conscious. Decision-making styles differ too. Extroverts are often quicker to make up their minds, while introverts carefully ponder and analyze before committing to a choice. An extrovert's default is to open up and connect with new people easily, whereas introverts take their time, only confiding in a select trusted few. And here's an interesting workplace observation. A recent study of 340 call center representatives tracked their sales records for 3 months. Surprisingly, it was those who were neither strong extroverts nor introverts that generated the most revenue. They were the ambiverts, averaging 288 per hour compared to the broader 138 per hour study average. Now, while extroverts are typically depicted as loud, life-of-the-party types and introverts as perpetually shy bookworms, the reality is far more nuanced. Take the example of many stand-up comedians. While their stage persona may ooze extroversion as they command a crowd, most actually identify as introverts. Their real life is spent writing introspectively in solitude, away from the spotlight. The first thing to understand is that you're not entirely one personality type or the other. Nearly all of us fall somewhere along the spectrum between total introversion and total extroversion. Only the extremes at either end of the scale are comprised of the quintessential shy, quiet mouse or the classically boisterous social butterfly. Another key misconception is that extroverts experience more positive emotions overall, While it's true they may feel fantastic at an amazing concert or party, the more accurate distinction is that extroverts experience positive emotions more intensely in those highly stimulating situations. Their introverted counterparts derive deep satisfaction and positivity from quieter, more muted experiences like alone time. Extroverts easily accept change, while introverts tend to resist it initially. An extrovert speaks more and tends to have more friends, though often with less deep bonds. An introvert listens more intently and has a smaller but tighter circle. Extroverts recharge by being social. Introverts, through solitude. But both orientations have immense capacity for joy, fulfillment, and self-actualization when honoring their true nature. Whether you identify as an extrovert who craves stimulation and personal energizing interactions, or as an introvert who delights in quieter introspection, the reality is that we all move fluidly between these states. Wisdom lies in recognizing the unique strengths of your own disposition, while also celebrating the wonderful diversity of perspectives that arises from our different personalities. Embrace your nature, honor your needs for solitude or socialization, and recognize that in this fascinating interplay of human individuality lies the brilliant tapestry of the lived experience. For how dull would life be if we were all cut from the same introvert or extrovert cloth?